tonight. So the first thing I want to say to you all is that you all, regardless of where you expect to end up after graduation, which state you expect to go to, what your destination thoughts might be, you really should get your Massachusetts license. It's like putting an insurance policy in your back pocket. There are states that require that you have a license from the state where you completed your approved program, such as California. California is a very popular destination state for our students. If you don't have your Massachusetts license, so worst case, right? So you graduate, you say, I'm not listening to her, I don't need my Massachusetts license, and off you go to Connecticut. You get a job, you can get a Connecticut license by completing an approved program, so you're good. 10 years from now, you decide that you've had it with New England weather and you want to go to California. You would have to come back into the Massachusetts system and complete whatever requirements are in place at that time to get the Massachusetts license so you can move to California. And it's not just California, there are a number of states that have this requirement. And because none of us know what the future holds, it's just safer for you to get your Massachusetts license while you're here and all the stars are aligned. Everything is set up for you to get that license. The other good piece of information about a Massachusetts license is that the license is good for 5 years of employment, not ownership. So you have to be teaching under the Massachusetts license. That means in a Massachusetts public school, sometimes in a charter school, but mostly in a regular public school. 5 years in a public school in Massachusetts for the clock to be ticking down on your license. So you get a Massachusetts license and you go to Connecticut. Your clock isn't ticking down, so your license is still sitting there waiting for you. So I hope that you can understand why I make this recommendation to students. I think it's in your best interest, but it's your call. You know, you're grown-ups, you do what you want to do about it. But my advice is please get your Massachusetts license. So there are 4 steps here at BU to get your license. You have to apply for the license, obviously. It's an online system. You have to complete the MTELs, which are the Massachusetts tests for educator licensure. You have to submit transcripts, and you have to let me know that you want a Massachusetts license so I can do some work within the Department of Education website. So first, apply for a license. There's the website, and I have all this information on these sheets, which we'll pass around. So you have to apply for the license. You have to do a profile online. Anybody a junior or a senior? Oh, okay. So in April of junior year, I send out a notice to people and ask them to go online and set up this profile and get the MEPID number. That's the Massachusetts Employee Personnel ID. You have to have a MEPID number. Here, they only started this last year, but here at the School of Education, the faculty and I decided that for undergraduates, towards the end of junior year is the best time to do this because people change their minds, and we know that, and we think it's fine when you're an undergraduate. Of course you're going to explore new fields and think about things differently and grow and develop, and we encourage all that. So we wait until junior year. So you will be getting a notice then. If you are a senior, you should have gotten a notice last year to do this. So that's that piece of it. And then you'll be applying for the license that you want. So you'll be applying for an initial license for sure. That's the level that you would be applying for. And whatever your field is, math, early childhood, elementary, physics, whatever you are. You will also be applying for this SEI endorsement, the Sheltered English Immersion endorsement. And this again is something brand new that just started up this year. So you are required to take the TL 520 if you're going to be working with younger children, or the 525 if you're going to be working with high school, middle school people. The 530 is the one for principals and superintendents and people like that, so that doesn't apply to undergraduates. If you're going to be an ESL teacher and have an ESL license, you still have to apply for the SEI endorsement, even though you don't take the TL courses. When I do your endorsement online, it's a 5 or 6 step process now. It used to be a 1-step process last year, but the fun rolls on, right? So now I have to do all these different endorsements for you, and if I don't have a licensure endorsement and an SEI endorsement in place for you, your license won't issue. So it's really important to do these things. You'll also be completing and confirming an affidavit that's saying that you are who you say you are. You know, it's like legal stuff, saying that you don't have any felonies, that sort of thing. And it's saying that you're being honest about your application. So you'll be doing that, and then you'll be confirming and submitting, and then you'll be entering a payment. The payment's done online. So you can complete the whole application, then go back in later and do a payment, you know, like the next month when you have more money in your pocket. But I suggest to people, if they decide to make a payment later after they've done the application, please put it in your calendar, in your phone, or however whatever calendar you use, and make sure that it comes up and make sure that you do it. Because it seems kind of silly, but when people graduate, you know, things get crazy and busy, and they're just applying for jobs, they're trying to graduate, they're trying to have fun. You know, everything is just kind of coming at you all at once. And we have had people who've forgotten to pay, and they're waiting for their license, and they're waiting for their license, and that's what it is. So if you don't pay when you apply, that's fine, but put a note in your calendar to remind yourself that you still have to do that last little step. So the MTELs. I know that you guys love tests, but I know that you can do them. Maybe you don't love them, but you can do them. We have like a 96% pass rate this year. And it usually bounces between 96 and 97. I think one year we had a 95% pass rate. And that's really, really good. It speaks really well of all of you and of your predecessors, because we don't require the MTELs at any point in your program. So it really, truly is a reflection of the quality of the students in these programs here. Other schools, well, all the other schools in the state, except for BC, require that people, we like BC, require that people pass the MTELs either before they come into the program, meaning before the me person there enters them with their MEPID number as enrolled in a program, or before they exit the program, before you get entered as a program completer. So I'm not a person who does a lot of statistics. I don't do any statistics, actually, and I hated statistics when I took it, so. But I know, you know, just logically, I know that that skews things, right? If you demand somebody pass it before you count them, right? So you guys are doing 96, 97% on your own. Just, that's a true rate of pass. So you don't have to worry about going into the MTELs, because you're well equipped to do them and you'll do just fine. This is the address, if you can see it from where you're sitting, to log on to the MTELs. Most of this information is on the SED licensure site also. And I put this up because I want to explain to you that they have all of this free help for the MTELs online. If you find something at the bookstore, you know, MTELs for Dummies or one of those kinds of books, it's not sanctioned. Uh-oh, did you do that?
No.
Oh,
I'm just saying,
don't
don't
say,
do
I
it.
remember you sitting here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not sanctioned by the state, so they may or may not be relevant to the test. And you'll probably pay $30 or something for a book, or more than that.
Test prep books are like $80, some of them, so don't do it.
Okay,
It's
no,
not
don't
worth
do
your
it,
money.
because it has nothing to do with the test, and they have all this free information that you can just look at, even, you know, a video, everything that you need is on there. So everybody is going to have to take the communication and literacy skills test. Thank God I got my license before they did all this stuff, so I haven't really seen these tests myself. But the students tell me that the communication and literacy skills is quite easy. So has anybody taken it? Well, of course you have, Rachel. Nobody else? Was it pretty easy? Do you remember?
It's pretty easy. I'm just not someone who learned grammar very formally, so sometimes there was a few things like that. But honestly, I was just kind of like, everyone get a license.
So you probably can take the communication literacy skills test after you finish those WR classes as a freshman. And that might be a good time to think about taking them. There is a page within the MTEL website where you can go in and find a test prep center. And now, because the tests are all computer-based, they call them CBTs. Because they're all computer-based, you could take it, you know, when you go home for Christmas break, you could sign up and take the MTEL Communication Literacy Skills Test if that's a good time within your program and within your personal schedule. And then you can get it out of the way and be done. I just randomly looked at this one, and I found about, I think, 5 places in New York City where you could take the test. So it's just something I just want you to think about, because the more you can get off your plate earlier, the better your life will be.
Can I add something to that?
Sure.
I was abroad senior fall, forever ago. And coming home for Christmas break, I actually thought about taking it at home, which is Arizona. So if they can test me in Arizona for a Massachusetts license, I'm sure they can test you in any other state.
Right, because it's all computer-based.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter, but you do have to sign up ahead of time. So you do need to think about it. If you want to do it, maybe just go online and take a look at where the test centers are. Think about if it's going to work for you in your schedule, but you do need to sign up in advance to reserve a place, because you have to physically go there. So take a look at that and think about it. Your other tests, though, you shouldn't take until you've talked with your advisor, and they tell you that, yes, you have finished the content that you need. Like for elementary people, they have a couple of math classes that they have to take before they take the general curriculum test. If you're an English major, you'll probably want to get the bulk of your English courses under your belt before you sit down for a test. So you would work with your advisor on those other tests that are really specific to your license, and they'll help you figure out the best time to do them. You will have to have transcripts submitted to the state. Because you're undergraduates, the only transcript that's going to get submitted is your BU transcript handling. So if you have other transcripts, like you took a class someplace at UCLA one summer or something, and you transferred that course in, don't worry about getting that other transcript, because everything will show up on your BU transcript that we need. And that's where the degree will be conferred, so that's what the state cares about. Then there's a form that you'll be giving to me so that I will know that you've applied for a license. You'll also be attaching a screen print from the licensure, they call it ELA, Educator Licensure and Recruitment section. You can attach any page from that to prove that you have applied for a license, so that if I get an error message when I'm doing 300 people, because I'm it for the university. So if I get an error message for you, I can look and say, oh, well, she did do the application. I can see, you know, on it what you've done, and it really helps me kind of figure out what could be wrong. So it's very important to do that. Your MEPID number is going to have to be in there, because that's how I have to put you into the system. Even if you're not getting a Massachusetts license, I do have to tell Massachusetts that you were a program completer. That information gets reported by the state to the federal government, and it shows up in the Title II report. So everything is so interconnected, isn't it? So you have to get a MEPID number. I have to report you umpteen million times to the state at different points in your career. And then after you graduate, even if you're not getting a Massachusetts license, the state wants to see who started in the program at BU. Did they get halfway through it? Did they get, you know, did they finish their practicum? Were they put in as a program completer? So it's about retention, really. So they want to see all that, and then it all does get sent to the Department of Ed. They don't provide any hard copies of licenses anymore, but when you're in ELAR, you'll be able to print a nice little unofficial license for yourself, which is really nice, because people always used to lose those hard copies. You know, they'd move. It's a little piece of paper, you lose it. So this way you can't lose it, because it's in the government system, so you can always print another one for yourself, so it's pretty handy. It can take 6 to 8 weeks after you graduate, in the May graduation cycle, for that license to be produced. If you have an opportunity for employment and they're not being very understanding of this situation, you can come and talk with me. I can give you a letter. I've talked with superintendents. You know, we'll make it work, but you'd have to come and let me know, because I just wouldn't know otherwise if you were having a problem. So there are different things we can do. On your resume, I would suggest that you put licensure pending and put the licenses that you're going to be applying for, and put MTELs passed right on your resume. Put your MTELs that you've passed, list them all out, and put graduation, anticipated graduation date, whatever it is for you. So if that's right sitting there on your resume, that helps the people who are reviewing it to understand where you are in the process. They can see that you finished all the MTELs, they can see that you're graduating. It helps them a lot. So we always recommend that. And then you'll have to keep an eye on that ELA page to see when your license is issued. And if there are any problems going forward, you really just have to get in touch with me. And if I see problems, believe me, I'll track you down. But from your side, if you have any issues with any of this, you know, you have to pick up the phone or send me an email or just come in. My office door is always open. So you can always just stop in with a question. So this is something that I always tell people, that I want you to get as many licenses as you can without having a nervous breakdown. So if you're a secondary teacher, you're a high school teacher or a middle school teacher, you can add the other grade level. So say you're getting, I don't know what you're getting, but say you're getting 8 through 12 in English, let's say, all right? So she's going to take the MTEL, and she's going to do everything she has to do for that 8 through 12 license and apply for the 8 through 12 license. However, because you all take adolescent development, that gives you what the state requires. I forget how they word it right now, but it's something like a course or seminar appropriate to the developmental age of the grade level. So that covers 5 through 8 also. So you take the one MTEL for your English license, you apply for the 8 through 12, and then you pay another $25, and you can also get the 5 through 8 license. So that means you're licensed 5 through 12, which is very helpful when you're out there looking for jobs. It's even more helpful when they start cutting people because of budget cutbacks and things like that happen. It gives you a little one up over somebody who doesn't have both of those levels. So you might get cut out of a high school class that you really wanted to have, but they can put you in middle school because you're licensed for middle school, and hey, you have a job. So, you know, it's a good thing. My husband is a longtime high school teacher, and you know, quite a few years ago, these things were happening a lot. And he had tons of licenses, so he could keep like hopping ahead. And he wasn't always really excited about what he was doing, but yeah, you know, you do it for a year, you have a family, you have kids, you know, you just do it. So I strongly recommend, but again, it's just a suggestion, that you do that. Then, depending on your own background, your academic background, maybe you're getting a license in biology, but you've maybe minored or you've taken a lot of courses in some other science. This is just all maybe what if. Physics maybe? But it doesn't matter, as long as it's secondary level. Or maybe you took a lot of English courses, but you're a biology major. You can apply for an additional license by passing that other MTEL, and again, paying the other $25. So when you do these things, you get the extra licenses, and it's great for you. But I want you to know that you only get the endorsement from BU for the one program that you're completing here. So there'll only be that one endorsement on your transcript. But you can fill up your pocket with licenses if you can pass all these MTELs, okay? And it's to your advantage to do that. And you don't have to do it, you know, before you graduate, but just know that it's a possibility, it's an option. And so you can consider it maybe after graduation if you don't have time before to think about these things. It's something that you can do to pick up more licenses as you go along. And this one, elementary license, severe disabilities and moderate disabilities, those folks all take the general curriculum MTEL. The general, is there anybody here in those fields before I go on about it? Okay. The general curriculum MTEL is broken into 2 subsets. There's a reading subset, I'm sorry, not general curriculum. General curriculum has the general curriculum subset, which is like everything on the planet, and then it has the math subset, okay? So you can take it that way, and that's the general curriculum test. It's a total of 4 hours. Or, if you choose to, you can take the general curriculum subset and then also take the elementary math MTEL, and then you can pick up a license in math 1 through 6. Okay, so that's just another, it's just something for you to think about. It's all about how you might want to do it.
That's awesome.
I want you all employed. So that's just a possibility, something to think about. Okay, fingerprinting. So here's something else new for this year. It's been quite a run these last couple of years. So Massachusetts was one of the few, if not the only state in the country that didn't require this national database fingerprinting thing to happen. We always had Cory checks. I mean, going way back to when I was your age, we had Cory checks, and that was it. It was just something that went through your local police department. You still have to do them. And it just checks, I forget, I think it's for the last 5 years maybe, but it only checks within Massachusetts to see if you have a criminal record. They're not looking for parking tickets, you know, it's not that kind of thing. So it's real criminal records they're looking for. So that was always in place. Massachusetts, you know, the light bulb went off and they decided with all these hideous things happening in different places around the country that they needed to do this fingerprinting also. So last December of 2013, they passed this law saying that they would have to fingerprint school employees. So they hired, like last spring, the state hired this Morpho Trust company, and the implementation was supposed to begin this fall. So did anybody here get fingerprinted when they came? Yeah. So it's really, that took me 2 months to set up. That's how disorganized this Morpho Trust thing is. Just, I'm not really whining, I'm sorry. It's just been a nightmare. So when they set up the law, they said, and it makes perfect sense, and I think that we're all on board with this 100%. You know, it's just the rollout's been a little messy, to say the least. So all full and part-time employees. So we have over 70,000 full-time teachers in Massachusetts. That's a lot of people. And then they throw in all the substitute employees. I imagine that means like substitute teachers. I don't know how many of those there are. And then student teachers and interns. And hey, let's get the bus drivers. And we have to have all of the school staff, because you have to have everybody who might have unmonitored contact with children. And it makes perfect sense. It's just that the numbers were just insane. And they couldn't keep up with it. And even volunteers at some school districts, depending on what their volunteer responsibility is, and that's up to the school district to decide. So it's been rocky, very rocky, and it's unfortunate that you guys got kind of snarled up in it, but that's life, right?
Is there a place you would suggest to get fingerprinted in Boston? Because I have to get it for my practicum, but I missed the time they can.
Yeah. I haven't checked lately, and you should, because it's been such a problem. They might have opened new sites. The last time I looked at it with somebody, there was one in Dorchester.
Okay, yeah.
And the student took the green line to Park Street and then got on the red line and went to, I think she said Sabin Hill.
Okay.
And then it was like a 3 or 4 minute walk.
Uh-huh.
But check, they might have opened even more centers. But you
Okay.
go to the Morpho Trust.
And then would I bring those documents back to you?
Please.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure who I would bring it to.
You don't.
The school district that I'll be teaching
The school
in, or?
district.
Yeah, you're going to want to hold on to a copy of your appointment page, and
Okay.
when you go and you have the fingerprints done, they'll give you a receipt that kind of looks like a cash register,
Yeah.
thick cash register receipt, so hang on to that. And the information will be sent from the Morpho Trust, well, I think it goes Morpho Trust to the FBI,
Okay.
and then the FBI will send it to whoever you've listed.
Mhm.
You can list up to 10 school districts.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, that's another fun thing to just throw out there and let you know how it's been going. So, when they set this up, I don't know why, but, you know, the way they set it up, every time, so he's gonna go in and he's gonna put that he wants his information to go to Boston and Chelsea and Brookline, and you can put in 10 places, right? So the poor soul in the HR department in Boston, every time somebody puts Boston in, they get an individual email saying that, you know, so-and-so is going to have fingerprints sent to Boston. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? what that has been like. So the whole thing has just been crazier than, I'm sure, than they anticipated. I can't imagine they would have done this on purpose.
And is that a Morpho Trust place in Dorchester, or is it, oh, okay, it is?
Well, what they've done is it's a national company.
Okay.
So they've rented office space in different places. There's one in Dedham.
Okay.
Do you have a car?
I think my friend might have a car, because we were thinking about going this week since we missed when they came to BU.
Yeah.
Bruno,
But if
just
we could
call
get-
me. I'll drive
What-
you.
Okay. There we go. That's
Well,
easy.
the reason I asked was this, to take the T to, Park Street, and then we get in the red line and everything. Phil Tate told me it takes over an hour. I don't know. I didn't try it out, I think.
Yeah.
Guys, fingerprinting, very anticlimactic.
Yeah, it takes like 3 minutes.
It,
Yeah.
it took
Okay.
literally,
It's scanned.
it took 30 seconds.
Yeah.
They gave me a receipt that looks like you went to a restaurant, and I just handed it to Chelsea Public Schools when I walked in.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe, like, if you, maybe just hold on to that receipt and just wait until you know what school district you're gonna student teach at,
Yeah.
and then you just hand it to their HR people or whoever.
But you
Okay.
have to put the school districts in the registration form.
Yeah.
You have to
Well,
put them in
yeah,
there.
I know I'm going to Braintree, so I'll just
Yeah,
put them
so then
down.
put
Yeah.
Braintree,
Yeah.
and then just hold on to that receipt, and then when you go in,
Yeah.
just hand them that receipt.
So the reason I asked about the car is if you have a car,
Yeah.
or a friend has a car, and you can make the appointments together. Like, I live in Dedham, so I know where
Okay.
one in Dedham is. It's right on Route 1,
Uh-huh.
and they have a little parking lot.
Okay.
So you just kind of,
Yeah, it's a little
Drive-
bit easier
yeah.
versus going an hour for
Yeah.
a 3-minute thing.
Exactly, but look online and see what's open.
Okay.
I would also tell you, if you see an opening at a private school, like a private elementary school or something like that, don't sign up for that,
Mm,
even though the system will let you.
Yeah.
Because we also had somebody who signed up to go to some private elementary school, and then they wouldn't let her in, because you don't let strangers
so
in.
you
I
get
mean,
fingerprinted?
the whole point, yeah.
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 Interesting.
Yeah, so make sure that it's like an office kind of a location,
Yeah, yeah.
not under specials when you pull down.
And
there.
do I have to make an appointment beforehand, or can I just walk in? Okay.
Yeah, you have to make the appointment.
They
And,
fill up very, 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 very quickly.
and there are people who don't have fingerprints, we found out.
Interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Anyway,
Question. Like, is this a multiple time thing if you have multiple practicums? I know, obviously, you might be switching schools. Do I have to, like, go back if I have a second practicum?
you
I-
gonna switch schools? on
I
your
mean,
practice?
just, what was?
Well, for
well,
early childhood,
yeah.
we have the kindergarten placement
Oh, yeah.
and then the full-time student teaching, so would we have to do it multiple times?
That's
or
what
Well,
can
no,
we,
you
like,
put both towns down.
re-input?
You put both towns down, because you put up to 10
So
towns.
it'll count for the,
Yeah.
okay.
So we'll know where we're gonna do our student teaching at the beginning of senior year.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
I just
What
haven't
my
had that
understanding
knowledge.
is that usually if you have 2 practicums senior year, you will usually know where you are for
we
both
have one.
semesters.
Yeah, but definitely just go and ask. Don't sign up for this until you know where you're going.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah, it's, because it is $35 to
Okay.
have it done.
Yeah, so then I guess, did I waste my money because we have still no idea where we're gonna be in the spring? And I'm doing a half practicum for that, but I had to do it for my full practicum right now. So I already have the fingerprints done on file, so I guess what would one do afterwards if they're going on to another practicum? Because they still haven't placed us yet, so I can't even pretend to know.
So within the law, in their wisdom, they made a provision for this, which is, it's great. It's just that it's not working. So what they did was they said that, within this law, that districts would do suitability determinations. So if somebody had their fingerprints sent to Chelsea, but they didn't have them sent to Brookline, and then they were going to Brookline for something else afterwards, they could ask Chelsea to send a letter to Brookline saying that their fingerprints were clear, that they were okay, they're suitable. However, with the glut of work that's fallen on these people, it hasn't really worked out. I mean, technically, that's how it's supposed to work. And maybe by next semester, who knows?
But that's what I should do. I'm just saying, for when I get my placement, I want to make sure I can actually go to it. So I should do that then, get the
If you
letter
don't get a
thing.
placement in one of the 10 places you put down.
I only put down Brookline.
Ah, really?
That's all they told me to do. I followed the step-by-step instructions, and it told me to put in the school I was in for full-time and then keep
You
going.
didn't read my email. because I gave a list of numbers and everything. Oh.
I follow my advisor. She.
Well, you know, hopefully it'll be all squared away and they'll be able to send a letter to suitability.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's how it's supposed to work, that I can tell you, how it's going to work, because nothing about this has worked the way, as smoothly as they wanted it to. So, yeah, we just have to see how
Contact
it goes.
HR.
We'll figure it out.
If that wouldn't work, would she have to like pay like $35 again to do it again?
Well, then it's gonna be up to the district to tell her what to do. I mean, technically, yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, yes, because you're supposed to have those fingerprints cleared before you show up in a school if you're going to be doing a practicum. Because you will have unmonitored and unsupervised connections with these children. You're going to be alone with them, and that's what they're trying to, they're not worried about you. You're not going to do anything, but it's just the law has to cover everybody on the planet who might walk into a school. So we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe, you know, they might get their act together and Brookline might say, oh yeah, we can send you something for you. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, yeah, that's what's going on. So then, just on October 27th, just to show you how this is just like, I feel like, you know, a ping pong ball getting hit back and forth. So October 27th, this other information came out from the Department of Ed. They issued advice to school districts because everybody's just having a horrible time. And now they're saying that the advice is that pre-practicum candidates don't have to have fingerprints, but they're leaving it up to the school districts. So some school districts might just say, no, we want them. Others might say, no, we don't care. I don't know what to tell you. But practicum candidates, for sure, you're gonna have to have it as a student, as a full-time student teacher. So I'm really sorry. I wish I could say 1, 2, 3, 4, but I can't because it's changing constantly, as recently as October 27th. So I guess we've kind of already talked about these things. So they're still going to be doing queries, as far as I know, right now. But, you know, all things are subject to change. So here's some tips. If I send you an email, please read it, because I really don't send emails just to say, hi, how you doing, although I would love to. I would love to, but I don't, because it's me, and it's all you guys at SED, it's all the people at CFA, and it's all the people at Sargent. And I'm halfway to crazy as it is, I don't have time to do that. So please read your emails from me, because if you do, then you'll know that you can put up to 10 schools down, and you'll know other things that have to be talked about. You also need to be careful that you read emails that come from the Department of Ed. You really, really need to pay attention to these things. And also your advisor, because they'll be sending you information that you need to know about. And then, okay.